Hey guys, so I have some super exciting news and a quick hack. I know many Samsung users are suffering from the photos where the dark areas get totally crashed. Let me show you an example here. If I put to 200 megapixel, especially 250 megapixel, if I take a picture and once it processes, you see how crashed it is? And I have found a fix for this, which I'm gonna share with you guys in a moment. I have another super exciting news, which I'm gonna drop the bomb in a moment as well. So before we continue, let's go ahead fix some settings. Make sure you guys are on the correct settings. First thing which causes the picture to go very greenish is intelligent optimization at maximum. It does have a little bit benefit of adding some artificial sharpening, but me, I prefer my pictures without sharpening, and the difference is very small. So put it to minimum. It's gonna at least reduce the green, like the post processing where it's going towards the green. So that's very important step. Next step to do is advanced video options. You want to make sure high bitrate videos. And this is equivalent to iPhones. In fact, some scenarios it's better once you enter this. Now, Zone of Tech, in a recent video, he's telling that the reason he's using 12 megapixel because it defaults back to 12 megapixel when he closed the camera app, which is true. um, because they're iPhone users, they do not know the Android system, especially different Android manufacturer. They do things in a different way. um, if Samsung defaulted the camera to 50 megapixel is not supported by many platforms like Instagram and all those. So they defaulted it to 12. They don't want unnecessary problems with people like not figuring out that why they can't upload their 200 megapixel on a Facebook profile picture. For sure it doesn't work, those are not supported. So 12 megapixel is universally supported. Now, for advanced user like me, you who's watching the video, you guys have the option that you don't have to use the terrible 12 megapixel low quality. So what you do is you go to settings to keep, and here high picture resolutions, this option, turn it on. So Zone of Tech, this is for you. This is where you turn on, where you can keep the 50 or 200 megapixel all the time, without switching it back to 12 megapixel. Now the fix for the crashing of the dark areas is linked with the last option, which is exposure. Turn this on, keep the exposure settings you last used instead of resetting it when you close camera. Turn this on, and let's go ahead to the fix. So if you tap on here, you have an option where you can increase or decrease the exposure, and put it to 0.8. I found 0.8 is a balance. The color of the leaves are exactly how I see on the screen. Samsung is picking up the correct color here, and the floor, the grains are exactly how my eyes seen. I don't see any difference. You can even try 1.0, even one, but sometimes I find it's a bit too strong. So 0.8 I found is a universal. So let's go ahead, take a picture. Let's put the 50 megapixel, we take a picture. Let's go 12 megapixel, we take a picture. And let me show you guys the difference. So this is before this hack, the 0.8 percent hack. This is after the hack. This is the 50 megapixel after the hack, and this is the, I believe, the 12 megapixel terrible mode after the hack. So for sure the 200 megapixel is the best, right? Look at the quality. Now, the best news I have. Oh, before I go there, the video, guys, video, what I found is even better. So video, let me put it to UHD 60. That's the mode I like the most. The video, this exposure on the photo, if you put it too much high, it might break the exposure of the highlighted areas. But video, it actually maintains the exposure. So good job Samsung on that. I found 0.5 or 0.4 is a universal balance, because by default it's a bit muted on many scenarios. So 0.5 by default, if you leave it to 0.5, it actually gives a very nice non-muted bright video, which I found 0.5 or 0.4 to be the best for video. And so there we go. So that's the 2 hack. If you close the app, it's not gonna change the 0.5 for the video or the 0.8 for the picture, because of these settings, right? The last one, exposure, keep the exposure setting you last used. Now the best news and the best thing about the S25 Ultra is expert raw. Guys, I'm gonna show you something. Watch. Do you see 200 megapixel expert raw? This is the first time these lenses, they can actually do the 200 megapixels and raw. And let me show you a demonstration. So this looks very accurate as my eyes see. Samsung RAWs are Expert RAW is very easy to use. The ISO, leave it to auto, it automatically adjusts based on your need, and you can play around with the shutter to make it overexposed or underexposed. So here, this is the most balanced picture, this one, and it picked the exact color, so I don't have to change the color. If you want, you can change it here. So I'll take a picture. And let me show you the quality. So I'm gonna compare this with the iPhone 16's picture in a moment, and let's find out. So guys, look at this. Lots of details, and it's so clean and clear. It's beautiful. So let's go ahead with the comparison. Hey guys, so on the left we have the picture before the exposure was adjusted to the plus 0.8, and on the right we have after the adjustment. And remember, before we used to have where dark areas would get crushed, and this is no different. On the right you see like it's very well exposed. So that is the fix, the plus 0.8. So you can clearly see a big difference, and not only that, it shifts towards the greenish when I see the exposure is low. So leave it to 0.8 unless you have a scenario where the background is getting over bright or things like that. You can dial it down as you need. So let's look into this with the 12 megapixel to see the quality difference between 200 and 12 very quickly. So on the right we have the 12 megapixel, which is used by Supersaf, Mr. Who is the Boss, and all those YouTubers when they compare with the iPhone. So big difference in quality, and not only that, look at the grains. Look at the grains level. Much cleaner image on the right. So that's the difference between 12 megapixel and 200 megapixel. It can even get dramatic, like when there is more light, like outdoor pictures. So 12 megapixel is not what you should use. Just use the 200 megapixel and resize it if you need to upload to Facebook or anywhere. So let me quickly go through the 50 megapixel. And once again, let's dial down quickly, guys, so that I can keep the video shorter. And here you can see plastic the plastic things that holds the flower. Those are way more visible on the 200 megapixel and much cleaner image on the 200, much grainy the 50 megapixel. Not a big difference though between 50 and 200, but there is difference. So quickly we are gonna jump to the iPhone. Now, just for the morons who might say, oh, that's not iPhone, that could be a different phone, here, to prove to you guys, this is actually iPhone. So Apple iPhone 16 Pro Max. I always have the two phones. So here I'm gonna get them side by side. Apple software always increase the exposure. So now you can see the Apple actually looks pretty nice, guys. I have to say, I have to give a thumbs up to that. But now the Samsung is definitely competing. Not only that, the area of focus could have been a bit different too, right? So, but if you look into here, for example, here, you can definitely see these threads way more clear on the Samsung than the Apple. Apple is blurred out, so it could be the area of focus as well, where things were focusing. If we look into other areas, maybe we're gonna get a clear view. So for example, let's look into the flowers here, and let's see, let's find out. The color for sure on the right, that is the correct color. Yep, definitely big difference. So if you look into this transparent things, it's the right side is the more accurate representation, and left side is also. Not only that, there are lots of grains as well. It's not as clean as the Samsung's 200 megapixel. So the 200 megapixel is the best out of all this. It's gonna be unfair if we don't compare the RAW of the iPhone, which is a 48 megapixel, a bit higher, double the megapixel of the 24. So let's see how that one is doing. Oh, it went back. Let me put it back. Microsoft Windows sometimes just automatically changes things. So let's find out. Definitely much cleaner on the right. In fact, I think the RAW is worse than the 24 megapixel. Maybe the processing has enhanced the picture of the 24. So yeah, the 200 megapixel for sure, it's the best. Doesn't matter which one you compare to of the iPhone. But yeah, impressive. iPhone with a smaller megapixel, they still held up pretty good. It's just also the noise level is not the same, right? It's a much cleaner image, the 200 megapixel. So also the color, much accurate. It is a light pink. The iPhone shifted everything towards the red on this scenario. Even the wall became reddish. The wall is supposed to be whitish. My wall is whitish actually, same as the Samsung. So let's jump to the next set of pictures. Next set of picture, it's outdoor, sunny day. It was nice. It was not over sunny. It was nice. And right out of the bat, I can tell you guys that the color representation again is better on the Samsung. As soon as we increase the exposure to 0.8, the whole thing changed. Even the color, the contrast, everything looks much better than before. Maybe that's all it was. The camera was putting the exposure too low all the time, and so things were getting contrasty. the dark sides were getting crashed. So when it comes to details, no comparison again, and it's worse now because more light is there, so the 200 megapixel, the small pixels, gets an advantage. And if you take a look at the back into the details, it's much cleaner than the iPhone's grainy picture. Let's look into the iPhone's 16 the raw picture. So my bad. Let's put it in comparison mode. So let's see how the raw is doing. Maybe it's gonna be better. And it's a fail as well. Much more detailed, the right hand side. So yeah, much more detailed. It's not even close. And the color, definitely, this is way too dark blue. It should be more closer to this blue here. In fact, I think it was lighter than both of them. So not only that, the snow details much better on the S25 Ultra. So that hack, guys, the adding 0.8 to the picture and 0.4 or 0.5 to the video, it's gonna make a big difference, big impact. So what I'm gonna do is I will jump to the next set of pictures. So next set of pictures, again outdoor, bright light, and again same story, guys. Very nice on the S24 Ultra. iPhone is doing very good too compared to it's a smaller megapixel camera. I like what I see after that change. So I want you guys to try it out too, and definitely very, very detailed. On the left, it's a mess. Lot of sharpening going on, but phone cameras, they do that sharpening when they're not understanding details properly. They do that. If you look into the tree here on the behind, it looks like a mess on the iPhone. It's trying to understand what the scene is, and it's just trying to over sharpen everything. But also the snow here, if you see, much cleaner snow on the right. Left hand side, it's all these dark lines you see here, these are artificial sharpening, guys. So yeah, unfortunately, but iPhone, I have not found a way where I could bump the exposure. Maybe bumping the exposure would help the system to capture an image where it don't have to over sharpen things. Samsung we just found, but iPhone I don't know. Enlighten me in the comments if you guys know a way we could bump that too manually. So I'll jump to the next set of pictures. This was 200 megapixel on the right, and iPhone's 24 megapixel on the left. Sorry, I forgot to change the name of the picture. Here is a quick video test side by side. So very quick. If you saw any type of jittering, it's just my computer. It's nothing to do. The phones did record them very smooth. Now what I noticed is similar story with the bump of the 0.4 on the exposure side. The videos as well, videos I would say they are very close by, but on the left it is a little bit extra sharpened, guys. You may disagree, but that's what I see on this scenario. So
I'm gonna jump to a scenario where like to where you may need to bump down from the 0.8 down. Watch the video, you will understand.
So I want to talk about one scenario, guys, where the video 0.5 is totally fine for all scenarios. So leave it like that. So you can see here, the background is not getting overexposed, but the photo, because it's a f1.7 lens, well, it did not blow out the background, but it can happen that scenarios like this and the background will be totally blown out, and only in those scenarios you just have to reduce it like and match accordingly, so that the background doesn't stay blown out. But 0.8 so far I found is a universal. So just to show you guys, and color accuracy, I found the S25 Ultra after I did the tweak, the 0.8 tweak and the 0.5 tweak on the video side. It's very very accurate, guys. Yeah, for sure sometimes the iPhone is more accurate, but most of the time the S25 Ultra is very very accurate, close to reality.
The last set of picture I want to talk about, guys, this was actually very very dark. The actual picture is like the one you see on the right. The iPhone made the picture as if it was taken on in the morning, or like with sufficient light, but there was no light. It was dark. Now if you do want the picture to look like the iPhone even on a dark situation like this, you could do that as well. So what I did is I did an experiment. I upped the exposure a bit higher, so instead of 0.8 I used 1.1, and there you go, you see a big difference already. So let me put back the old picture so that you can see the difference. So on the down we have the 0.8, which is the actual color representation. The building, the darkness was exactly how my eyes saw it. I upped the from 0.8 to 1.2, and we got the one on the top. You can up the exposure even higher, and you will be able to get the iPhone's quality as well. So what I have realized is these cameras, all these software magics they talked about all these years, were nothing but playing around with exposures basically, guys, nothing else. So all right, enjoy. So at least now you guys know that how to fix basically the dark areas getting crashed on the S25 Ultra. I have no clue why Samsung would by default not put the exposure higher. So that was the problem all along with S23, S24, and now the S25. Thank you guys for watching.